on. Simone probably got back on as well, but this team is on fire. You can just kind of feel the intensity.
Oh, look at that 1 second difference. That is just incredible. Lam Kong is one of my favorite riders, actually across the series. I just love her style. She's got a fair bit of pizzazz, TBR smile, and we're looking at that at them now. Come on, ladies. It is absolutely all on the line. It is down to 1 second. It could not be closer. You've just got to bring it home. I just want to see them be able to finish and feel satisfied. And I think uh, Kimberly Kearns Stokes would probably be getting a little bit excited and possibly raising her voice, Anna, maybe urging them a little bit in the gentlest way to just really leave it all out there and see what they can do.
Oh, it's we're just going to have a quick look at the A's before we might head over and see what's happening in the men's racing. But man, that's a tight race there in the B category with TVR Smile on versus AHDRL Caffeines. And looking here at Kim Garland leading out for Team Aero. They're up against the Z Sun team, who is doing fairly well with a bigger group of riders. Jen P has definitely dropped off now. She's about a minute back, so she'll get swallowed up by the Z Sun riders coming through. And fairly tight racing, but it looks like Aero have done pretty well on the day. They're on the red carpet of the Mel. Someone's written on the socials to say it should rhyme with Pal, so the Mel. And they're doing very well, just about 500 meters to go. Oh, no, sorry, 1,500 meters to go.
This is where you just absolutely throw everything that you can out. This is probably the least comfortable 1,500 meters you'll really ever do in a race because there is absolutely no point leaving much in the tank at the finish. They are down to 4, but they've done a great job. Jen Petton, she flew the colours proudly last week and had a big ride here already today. She'll finish just a little bit adrift, but the 4 of these Aero riders, they've had a really good season. They should be exceptionally proud, I think, of the progress they've made. And they've got a really strong team in Prem League as well. So a lot of depth across the board. And they should certainly be happy with everything that they've done this season.
Yeah, for sure. And like we talked about earlier with this team, although they can't go up to Prems with a team already there, this could act as a little bit of a sort of trialing ground. So the Prem team looking at those riding in this community division and saying, ooh, okay, a few of those riders have been riding very, very strong. Their numbers are good, and we could see them getting pushed up and riding for their Prem team next season. Oh, look at that. Oh, that makes me a little bit emotional. Great racing with your girl, Zed Sun. Oh, I love that. It's so good, you know?
It is. I love it too. I think the camaraderie, something that I really enjoy watching and commentating on these riders, is you just know that so much heart goes into it. And they're genuinely really kind whenever the messages do pop publicly, even when it could be a moment where you might think there's a little bit of cranky pants happening. They're actually really respectful. They're really calm. The way that they handle every situation in here, I really respect it. I think it's a very welcoming and inclusive community. And I certainly urge anybody who's been watching but hasn't raced yet to get out there and give it a crack. Look at that, Grace Smith. It's been a blast, girls. Well, we've had an absolute blast commentating on you, ladies. So thank you very much for a wonderful season two here. Anna, I feel like these are our girls. You know, we've watched them really progress and just race so well. And I do feel a really great sense of pride for how a lot of them have developed. And they should definitely pour themselves a champagne or a mineral water, if it would be, at the end of this evening and pat themselves on the back.
You almost want to just stand there at the finish line and have a big group hug, you know? If you could do that, if you just jump into the screen right now, I just think that'd be great.
Look, we've talked about having a bit of a Zwift get together in Costa Rica. I think we decided on with Dave Toll. So I hope you're on board with that. And I think that we can invite some of the community to maybe like a golden ticket, Anna. Like they'd go to their mailbox and they'd get the golden ticket and off to Costa Rica with us.
Oh, fantastic. Let's do it. Once these borders open, I'm off to Costa Rica. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this commentary gig is lucrative. We're off to Costa Rica
Yeah.
for a team building activity.
Yeah, look, we might have
Oh,
to work
like,
on the numbers of that. Put together a spreadsheet, would you?
yeah, we'll do that. We'll propose it to Nathan. I'm sure he'll say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So Sun just coming through here to finish. 100 meters to go. They've got the finish line in sight. Looks like they will just lose out to Aero in the team time trial, but what a blast they've had as well. Great racing. They lost Fuller early on, but they've stayed strong, hung together, and they're all finishing as one cohesive, tight unit, which is always good to see.
It is. They've raced a very good race. We will get the numbers and see the times overall when we can get those through. But for now, they have sprinted all the way to the line and really pushed. 5 of them have finished there together. We've got one adrift. We're looking at TBR Smile on there, just coming in now. So they've also had such a great race. It's been a real pleasure to watch how tight this race has actually been today. So look at that. 1 second it was at that last time check, Anna. 1 second with the caffeines. 1 second ahead. So they've brought a little bit of time back. They're 5 seconds. They're in that second to last time check. But they were starting to splinter a little bit when we last saw them. They do look to be a bit neater here. They're all back together. Anna Lamkong sitting on the back there. She has been one that stood out all season as a very strong rider. But we also know that teams' time trials have quite a different dynamic to them. So this is pretty neat. They may be down to 4, but they're doing a pretty good job of keeping it pretty aero and keeping that speed up.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say they're very impressed that the AHDR Caffeine still had 6 riders. It's very rare that you'll see that at the end of the race, all the full suite of riders finishing. So good job to them as well for really sticking together as a team. And that 6-rider combination will make it a lot easier. You got a lot more rest. So I think they could almost have it over TBR Smile, but we have to see the results as they roll in.
And either way, it's been a very, very tight race, which is great because throughout the season, you see some weeks where one team looks to have the natural advantage over another. But this evening, it looks like both of these teams have absolutely thrown everything they can out there. And also to Kim Kern-Stokes, who is the manager tonight. She's done an incredible job. Mon, who is normally out there with them as well. Kudos to all of the ladies, I think, Hannah, not only that are out on the bikes, but also sitting on the bench in some capacity tonight. Same goes for the caffeines. We've talked about just the strength of the community, and I think they really all rally each other on.
Yeah, definitely. And a bit of a shout out there to Wonder Wheels, who I saw the New Zealand flag, and it's 10 o'clock at night. So she's, man, that's a intense way to get ready for bed.
Yeah, I can only kind of think what kind of nightmares you might have trying to go to sleep after a team's time trial. But good on her. Well done.
Exactly.
It's a time zone. We try and get the time zones to suit everybody, but that can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I know I did a bit of racing sort of in an Aussie time zone, and I was finishing at about 11 o'clock at night, and I'd kind of just lie in bed just staring at the ceiling with like twitchy legs. So I think, yeah, kudos to her for getting out there, because I'm not sure she'll be getting a lot of sleep tonight. But yeah, they did really well. Good to see them round it out. And we ate the cake. Another fave out there. Love this group, love their name. They're coming through into sort of rounding out into the 28 kilometer mark, so about 3k to go, and they're dominating. They're over about 2 minutes 20 ahead of the Comets in second place, so fantastic. But the Comets and Spin Mafia 2 seconds there, so that is a good battle that we'll see play out soon between second and third.
Aphie Reid is leading them along at the moment. She's had a pretty good season as well, Anna. I would say that she's progressed quite significantly throughout season 2 from week 1, and it has been a name that we've mentioned a lot because she kind of seems to be able to do it all. She's been there on every course, which is an absolute credit to her. But two and a bit minutes over their nearest competitors. They're certainly kind of showing them how it's done tonight. But there's a very tight race happening between Comets and Spin Mafia. Only 2 seconds between them at the last time check. So that'll be interesting to see what happens in that final segment into the finish.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
looks like they're
this looks
pedaling
not
through.
good.
Wow, that
It's a
does
bit of
paint a
a
really
this I
slow
mean
cadence,
that's
50 RPM. So yeah, that
it
is
looks like
not
she might be waiting
ideal.
there because this is yeah, there's a big gap that's opened up here. This is not ideal, but this is also, to their credit, something that happens when you are pushing the limits, when you have another team so hot on your heels and you are just trying to get the absolute best. I think that sometimes that's when you push it just to the limit. Some gaps can open up, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Justine Clark is having to wait up a little bit. There's also an art in that, Anna, because if she sits up too much, they'll fly straight past her, and that won't
Yeah,
help them keep any
exactly.
speed. So she does need to temper that as well. But a lower cadence suggests that she's just kind of slowing down and waiting for those other riders to catch back.
Yeah, exactly. That was very interesting to pop back and see a total explosion there of the Comets, which isn't great. They're only 2 seconds ahead. So that could actually end up being the bike race for them, and they may drop back into third place. So a little bit disappointing. We can just see the men's racing now popping up on the left-hand side of our screen. We've got Team Aero in the men's division just passing there, a PNX rider. Looks, I believe that's a PNX rider, or is it an Aero rider who's sort of jumping back on and perhaps isn't in the uniform? That's an interesting little dynamic there. It is an Aero rider, so just obviously didn't get the memo about
You missed the
team
memo.
kit for today,
Yeah,
and
the kit memo.
yeah, decided to go a bit rogue. But yeah, these guys are humming along well. 5 riders. Looks like they started with 6, so they may have dropped one somewhere along the way. 17 kilometers in, they're about to hit this, what I would call the trickiest part of the race. So over this bridge here, over the Thames, into the, what would you call it in the UK? Not subway. It feels like more of an American term. The tube, into the tube
The
station,
tube.
and
Yes,
tube
the tube.
underground, and then popping out in the parks where it just rolls and rolls. It really kind of starts to kill the legs, but these guys look like they're going pretty well. 4.95 watts a kg on the front, so good speed here, 48k an hour.
Well, they've just seen their women have a pretty good ride, and I think that they're a pretty tight crew. Again, they've got a really good team in the Prem League. Some of those riders, one in particular, Nick Scolari, who's a very good time trialist. And I think that especially with a club, if you will, an organisation like Aero, they do share a fair bit of knowledge through the group, both men and women, and that really helps them all develop along the way. So I think that they'd have a fair bit of knowledge flow down happening amongst them, and that's could be one of the reasons why they have such good technical outcomes amongst that team. So I like that. I like seeing that happen. We're looking at race 3R here. They are down to 5 already, just past the halfway mark. So they do need to be cautious and make sure they hang on to all 5 riders here.
I do just want to call out the results we're seeing there. So I'm not sure where APAC is, but Beast Mode's having a nightmare. 3rd place at the first time check. That can't be an ideal scenario for them. Smooth as Sun first. Evo Savages, the pink magenta machine, in 2nd, and then Beast Mode 3rd. That's it's well behind. They've got to pull their socks up a bit there, I think.
Well, given my affinity for Beast Mode, and I have a lot of faith in them because I think as individual riders, we've taken the time to really look at their individual power profiles, and we know that they are a team really of very talented riders, perhaps learning their way in the virtual world because a lot of them are quite accomplished IRL riders or triathletes. And so it could be a good tactic given how tight actually that whole top 6 is, that they're starting quite civilized and really cranking it up. That wouldn't be a bad way to approach this time trial. but we will know kind of more about that in the next 1 or 2 splits. And I also note, Anna, that Beast Mode have got themselves a new bike sponsor in the last week, Rose Bikes, which is really
Mm.
cool. I think it adds a little bit more legitimacy again to what this esports world really
Oh,
is,
like a
because they've got
serious
some
bike
really,
sponsor.
yeah, like a proper bike, a serious bike sponsor. So good on them, good
Huh.
on Rose for getting behind them, and it's certainly, I think, a bit of a testament to what Beast Mode are trying to create. So that's exciting.
Now, do they have an in-game bike? I don't think I've seen that before. They
I don't think
must.
they have an in-game bike yet. But look, that might be on the cards. I don't know. I feel like every week we put in requests to the Zwift technicians. They've probably muted us by now. But maybe Rose, maybe that is on the cards.
You'd hope so, right? Sponsoring an esport virtual team. Um, I was waiting for these messages to start popping up on screen because I saw the Evo team out there. And I know I mention this every week, but I still think it's really cool that this is obviously a team who don't all speak the same language. And you'll see every now and then messages popping up on screen about whose turn it is. They've all got numbers next to their names about who goes in what order. And I just think that's really cool. You know, you've got Ben there from Scotland. I think he's the captain. And then the others will sort of, he'll put the messages up and then everyone follows there. So you can just see he's saying 3. So now it's the turn of the third person, and you'll see him popping it up. So really cool there. I remember sort of mentioning that maybe in season 1, and someone gave me the lowdown that it was because they didn't all speak English.
I like that. It's been interesting, hasn't it? We've seen sock colours, we've seen numbers in front of names, we've wondered what that is all about and kind of pontificated a bit on that. It's good to see how the different teams choose to communicate when English isn't the common language amongst all of them, or in fact, there isn't a common language amongst all of them. I think you do need to get a little bit more creative because, of course, in real life, Anna, it's body language. So you can throw an elbow, you can move off, like it's a lot less verbal than it is when you're trying to communicate like this. Having said that, they can see themselves all on video, but again, you know, we've also gone to some Twitch feeds where their power's massive, but they're smiling and look pretty relaxed, which can throw it off a little bit. So, you know, communication does become very important.
It's always quite depressing when you see sort of someone's heart rate up in the 185 and you cut over and look at them and they just sort of have a vacant expression on their face peddling around. You're like, man, I don't look like
A
that.
very good poker face.
Exactly. And finally, here we go. We see DPAC. Sam Lindsay. What more can you say about this rider other than that he is phenomenal, legit, the real deal from New Zealand, amazing rider, off the front, pulling his team around, but they're only down to 3 riders, which is not great.
Yes.
Unless
How are you going to spin that? I mean, I think that you're fairly so too. Quite a fan of Sam. Shout out to Sam. But the whole crew actually. But I'm wondering what's happened here. A tech dropout maybe, because this is so unusual for them. They are so well drilled and so well organised, and the 3 of them would not be pushing on like this if in fact they were waiting on a 4th rider. So we might wonder what's going on there. Evo is probably one of the teams I'm very curious to see how they perform tonight. They have had some really good rides in teams time trials. And look at them, there they are, sitting in second through that first split. So let's see if they can kind of wind that up a little bit. But Deepak, what's going on here?
And they're coming last in that first split, 12 minutes something. This is, I couldn't quite see how many riders they had started with when we looked at that chart in reverse. I don't know if they started with 4 and there's been a technical or what is going on. We'll just see if we can pull that up, because I think they started with 6. So that's really unfortunate if 3 riders have had technicals, like really unfortunate. Almost I'd say unheard of. So if anyone's watching and is from, you know, the DPAC or is there DS or what is going on, that's really unfortunate because they're going to lose a ton of points and pretty much not be able to, like, they can finish the race, but it's not going to count.
No, this is disappointing. It's a bummer for them to finish the season like this, given what a juggernaut that they have actually become through this season. So that's a little bit of a bummer for them. I know that we've had all sorts of technical things go on throughout the season, from power cords being pulled out by small humans. Everybody loves a toddler pulling a power cord out, don't they? To internet dropouts, it can happen. It's like having a flat or a fall in real life. It does definitely happen to a portion of the riders on each event, but this is just a real bummer for them. So I'm a bit devo for them, Anna, because I think that they deserve to finish off in absolute best form that they possibly could. So we'll wait to see what's happened there. But shout out to the guys for pushing on as best they can with 3, even though that will not get them a result with the 3 of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, they're still pushing really hard turns. So Sam there was pushing 7 watts a kg. I mean, they're just up into this Richmond Park area. It's sort of on that 4% grade. They're riding really well, but unfortunately, just without that 4th rider, it just doesn't really matter. And yeah, it's not a way you want to see it end. We were hoping for a great battle there between Beast Mode and DPAC, and it even looks like Beast Mode isn't having a great day out either. It's sitting in 3rd place. Looks like Evo was ahead of them. So yeah, very bizarre into the men's A division. So let's have a look here. Hashimoto, ZWC, looking great out the front, but unfortunately gapping the teammates there a little bit. So they're a little bit of a hero move there from Hashimoto, which I think I've called him up on before. But it looks like everyone's jumped back on and they're forming a nice little line. Really hard part of the course though, so I'm not surprised that they're sort of moving around a bit and bunching up behind.
Well, Hashimoto's been a cracker this season. He's got quite a kick on him. I don't actually think that this would be his favourite event, but I think he could be very valuable within them. Beast Mode, we've just flicked across to them. Nicholas Ranker, we keep seeing him go into the orange actually. So these guys have got some solid speed. They're just on a slightly false flat, but they've just made a catch over 60k an hour. This is a pretty good squad. So far in that first split, I wonder if that's a little bit deceptive, or if that's a really smooth picture. Because if that's a clear picture of what's happening, then I can't wait to see Smooth as Sun and Evo and pictures of them and how fast they may be travelling.
Yeah, that just looks super tight. Those top 4, 5. I mean, there's 20 seconds surrounding the top 6 at that first time check. So this has been quite the racing, even though, we've got our number 1 team falling off and really not having the best start to today's race. But this is quite the battle. I'm loving this. It's a great team time trial course because it is, like we've said, not totally flat, but enough. It's not like New York, where you're going up huge King of the Mountains. It's still a way that the best sort of team that can ride together will really get some good time bonuses. And you can see that here. I mean, Evo Savages, I know, are a really tight team, and 4 seconds behind Smooth as Sun. So, I'm liking this. As we see a pass here from this Rossa training over the top of World Elite Zwifters. Very good pass there. Managed to push through and already got a gap. So that was textbook. That's a textbook way to pass a team and then to drop back for the riders behind.
Well, there's a lot of etiquette that goes into passing, doesn't there? So from my understanding, Anna, and you can confirm or correct me, the team that is being overtaken, they should really slow down a little bit and let the other team through. And the team that is overtaking should, as much as possible, accelerate a little bit and clearly go past them. But what we definitely don't want to see is any riders getting mixed amongst them. It's also considered particularly bad form to sit in any draft of any other team. And so thankfully we have seen some really clear overtakes, because that shows not only a lot of cohesiveness, but also quite a lot of respect. Zed Sun, Anna, I'm not sure if my numbers are off, but it looks like we're missing someone here. This is not a good scenario at all.
So I'm
Or
just
this is
seeing
not, or
some
is this
messages.
Euro cycling tips? This is a bit confusing, isn't it?
I'm seeing some messages come through on the socials that firstly, DPAC does actually have a fourth rider, but no one can see him. So this is, I don't know if anyone's been on the WTRL Zwift Racing League Facebook page recently, but there is a lot of talk going on about ghosting. So there's a little glitch in the system where a rider just disappears, but they're in the results. No one else can see them, but that rider can see everyone else. So it looks like Deepak has got a ghosted rider, and it looks like Zed-san may have the same.
Ooh. That's actually kind of
So
cool.
there we go.
I mean, weren't we earlier on? They were saying, "What did we think could be cool for season 3?" I think we've just found it. To have some serious ghosting going on, that could be quite fun. But it is a bit confusing, and it must be very confusing for the riders as well, because that fourth rider is, potentially just hanging on for dear life, and the other 3 don't know about it. So isn't that like the ultimate kind of trust and communication exercise? Team building,
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
say, to be able to do this without visibility.
yeah, you can just feel the rider next to you. It's like Ghost. But then they must be on
Demi
Discord, so
Moore,
they'll be
anyone?
able to, yeah, they're sitting there making some clay creations. But they'll be on Discord, so they must hear each other and they must be able to tell them where they are. But question is, if there's a ghosted rider, can you draft off them? I'm not sure. That would
Ooh,
be the
good
question.
question. I mean, wasn't it in our opening example, wasn't it poor Terry that was going out the back? I mean,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
conversation, is it like, has anybody seen Terry? I haven't seen Terry. Can you see Terry? I'm still here, says Terry. They're very confusing. I think it's a very abnormal situation going on. Oh, but they're making the overtake here, which is a good one, overtaking Phoenix there, who incidentally are looking very neat. The 4 of them. Again, this is how we want to see it done, Anna. Straight past,
Mm,
both teams respecting the other and making sure none of them get caught up in draft or in each other's train. And I was going to say, it looks like third wheel there needs to just hang on a little bit more, but he may in fact have an invisible rider in between those wheels. That's kind of
yeah,
a space out, isn't it?
exactly. It is. I do want to say with that past team, though, I mean, you are supposed to drop back, but I can see why teams don't. I mean, they should, but you're just in race mode. And when your heart rate is so high, you see a wheel in front of you and you just want to race, and so you jump on it. And I think that's where teams get in a bit of trouble, is where sort of people just make those mistakes with a bit of hot-headedness and jump on and then go, oh, wait, what am I doing? And then turn around and their whole team's gone. So that was a good pass, though. I liked that. They managed to stay back. And this is the magenta train, I believe. I think this is Evo. I do, but usually they are in the magenta kit. Looking great as always. They've always got a fan here in Mashed Potato, who's usually on YouTube, which he is tonight as well. And that looks like an updated kit. Correct me if I'm wrong. That looks quite new. The Evo kit.
It
It's looking
does. I
very
like
sharp.
it. It's a little bit T-Mobile esque in the way
I'm
that with the
liking it.
magenta there, the hark to that. I really like that as well. And I like Mashed Potato too. I mean, it's a Wiggles song. You've got little kids, Anna, so you probably know. Or yeah, you probably know the Mashed Potato song. It comes to my head every time he pops up on the chat. But they are a good-looking squad, aren't they? Interestingly, none of them are ghosted this evening, so we've got all 6.
Yeah, they're looking great. I mean, that is almost. I mean, them and TBR are sort of hot runners now for the best kit out there. Someone's got to tell me if that Evo kit is new, because that looks a lot better than it has in previous weeks. Bit of a motley crew with styles there. You've got the sort of grey Santa afro, a few riders back, which I'm not sure on that one, but and a bit sort of that rider there, the shoes and the gloves are a horrendous combination. So a few lost points there with the sharp-looking kit. I mean, they really could have made that look a lot better.
Said with all due respect to Pirapong, of course, with those blue shoes. What were you thinking? You knew Anna would be out tonight. Goodness me. Maybe
Oh,
he
I
thought you might
know.
be off again and Nathan would be a bit kinder to him.
Yeah, exactly. Nathan's too nice. But there's Santa coming by too. So he's in the off season. He's just losing a bit of that Christmas fat and looking
Ho, ho,
quite
ho.
good. Third wheel in. That's a quite the look
He
there.
actually
I
looks
can't
like
say I've ever
Doc
seen
out of
that.
Back to the Future.
Yes,
That's
with
what
those
I'm
they've all got the
seeing.
same glasses on. They've all got those weird kind of futuristic glasses. Love it. These guys have pulled out some serious looks tonight. They're doing well. I like it.
Yeah, well, I think at this point in the race, they're only a couple of kilometers from the end. Their heart rates are pretty high. They'd be breathing fairly heavily. So I'm not sure that they're thinking about too much right now except surviving to the finish. But they've done a really good job to get there with 6 riders as well and keeping
Mm.
that pace really high. I am so interested in what these final splits will end up being. We got a bit of a taster in that first split. But we have had a little bit of controversy with the ghosting. So we need to figure out what's going on there. It would be really tough for a team. I mean, all jokes aside, and even though we've had a bit of a laugh with it, it would be really tough on the individual and also on the team.
Yeah,
Which
there's mashed
this
potato,
one's for
the
you,
Evo
Anna.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they washed the kit earlier. Well, I'm not surprised. It does look very shiny, and Mashed Potato was always calling out the magenta kit. So great to see that he's also calling that out tonight. So love it. And these guys are finishing off extremely strong here, riding about 50k an hour down the Mel. With perfect formation. So Evo, very good. They were in second, I believe, to the Z Sun team. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've caught up quite a bit of time.
Yeah, that's what we were seeing early on, and then it was beast mode that came in. We will get results at the end, so we will be able to confirm what has happened in the overall. But for now, we just have to watch these guys belt toward the finish, still keeping that speed very high. Now, if it was an earlier stage in the race, Anna, I'd say, oh dear, caution against any of these gaps opening up. But at this stage, they are on that final run in after they do that U-turn on the Mal. And so now it's pretty much everybody throw out what they possibly can and get to the finish as fast as they can. So that's what they're aiming for here, certainly. A little bit of conversation going on there on my wheel, a bit of encouragement amongst them. That shows a pretty tight-knit unit that at this stage, with heart rate so high, they can still encourage each other.
Yeah, so they're a very, very cohesive team, this Evo team. And they've got a lot of fans out here cheering them on. So they've been doing very, very well. We're just looking at some of the B category riders at the moment. Another magenta kit. Is this another Evo kit? Must be. They've got Kiwi rider, American, French, Australian. Looks like they're going for the same thing here with their number order in front of their name. Keeps it nice and clear. But I'd imagine most of them would speak the same language in this B cat team. Seb from France may need to speak a little bit of English, but yeah, it looks like these guys are rolling on great. They've all got that Super 9 wheel, it looks like, as well. So obviously very experienced Zwifters. Looking really good here. I don't think I've seen this team in the B Cat before looking so strong.
I mean, regardless of how experienced they are in terms of number of kilometers done and climbed, a lot of them are still really learning the nuances of riding teams time trials. And I'm pretty pleased to say that overall today, it's been a really neat show. We are looking at those teams that we don't know what's going on with the ghosting or the lower numbers or whatever. That's really been our only criticism that was a bit misguided because we didn't understand what was happening there. But every other team, Anna, has been really ready for a lot of compliments because they've been riding in really good formation. They're really neat. And if we look at the team league standings here, the Evo Barbarians and the Blowflies are on equal points. Whoever wins out of those pair tonight or is higher finishing will take bragging rights for the men's Div B and will move up. So there's actually quite a lot on the line tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of makes more sense now as I look at this team. I mean, they've come out full noise to have a great race and riding here very, very well, just pushing through some dropped riders. Not sure how AHDR low flies are going, but yeah, that's a really, really tight battle at the top. And even Dirty Sprockets in third isn't that far behind, 5 points. This is AHDR here, so they've still got 6 riders. So similar to Evo, who we saw before, these guys are racing really well. So this is, I'm liking this. Good battle here in this B category.
It's great across all the divisions how tight it's been, really. And you're right, you look down at 100 and 128 points, Dirty Sprockets, they're not too far off at all. And I love this public messaging that's going on as well. There's a lot of encouragement going on, not only within the teams, but also to other teams. It is a real community feel. And even though everybody is absolutely out there tonight uh, to get a result for this final week of the ordinary season before we head into playoffs, I get a bit of a sense of camaraderie amongst the manor. Like they've all been through this together and now they get to have just a little bit of fun amongst it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say as much as the women's field. I don't feel like they're all going to have a hug at the finish line like I felt with some of the women's cats. But yeah, there's definitely not too much angst. I don't see many angry messages. They all seem to be riding pretty well together. I think when it comes down to the last race and they know they've got, a bit of a gap till the next series starts, people start to go, oh, bit nostalgic now, but emotional finishing this up. I've seen you guys every week for the past 2 months, and especially when a lot of these people are in lockdown, it is kind of a bit of your sort of social outlet. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing nice messages in the last race of this season.
So much better to get to the finish with 6, of course. It makes it a little bit friendlier all around. So we're seeing a good show of that going on here. The 6 of them working together. And again here, Evo, this beautiful kit that you were talking about in the magenta. They've also washed it and it's nice and squeaky clean and sparkly. This crew is looking good. I think across the divisions, they do again share a little bit of knowledge and experience because we're seeing quite similar patterns in the way the teams race, whether it be in A, B, so on and so forth. And that's pretty cool to know that they do have that depth and they are really giving as many opportunities as they can.
Yeah, it is really good to see. And looking at some of those power numbers that Bean here was riding, some of these Bs may be looking at riding for the A team. It is what's quite good when you've got teams across multiple categories like Evo does, that it's a good sort of stepping stone for those in the lower cats to think about moving up if they can get their power numbers higher. Just looks like one of them has decided to exit out and do a bit of a workout in Zwift on course. So let's have a look what's happening with the team time trial. We just saw I think it was Bean there from Evo, like I was saying, was pushing some really high numbers, about 4.5 watts a kg, and these guys are still doing extremely well. They're going to hit quite a climb here. So that's where we saw a few of the teams totally detonate. So let's see what sort of strategy they go with here. Usually you put a sort of lighter rider on the front, have them drill up the climb and have everyone jump on wheels, which looks like they're doing. They're sort of not keeping that straight line format. They're sort of bunching up, which is perfect, just pacing each other up the climb. And then they'll take that left and it sort of flattens out right to the mall where they hit that sort of last 1,500 meters. Very impressive ride here, though, from Evo B.
That last 1,500 meters certainly bites. But you're on the home straight, and certainly mentally, I think when you know that you're coming into the finish, you can get your head around that a lot more so than on a course like this when you haven't even hit the bottom of the Surrey Hills there. So if you are struggling on the mall on the first way through, it can be a little bit mentally taxing, but overall a really good display. And there are so many riders out on course across this community division from A to D for the men and the women, which has been amazing. Anna, I reckon, to just have so many people participating each week in this platform.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the last week of 8, that's 2 months, and you're still seeing such good numbers in this last racing. Usually you see a little bit of a drop off, but I think people are just super pumped to see the same crew each week work with each other. I know the teams that I work with, you're sort of messaging, and then you're making playlists, and then you're doing recon, so it's not just today, it's sort of like a whole lot of messaging and camaraderie leading up to the event and then coming out of the event. So it's a really good thing that we've got going here with WTRL. I'm liking how these last series have worked, and we can see here dirt looking like they're coming in about 30k. So they've got just over 1 kilometre to go, 1.1 to go. You round this end hairpin and then push out, and basically it's a sprint to the line. Dirt, dads inside riding, trainers. Love this crew. They sent me some stickers, actually, really, really cool stickers. So they've got a nice little merch situation happening too. I think you can wear that kit in real life, which would be pretty rad as well.
Well, dirt works really well, but imagine if they tried to make that with mums, like Mert. It doesn't quite have the same, the same ring to it, does it? Mert. But they do have a good kit, and I believe they did actually. Our producers just jumped on Anna to tell us they did have Merts for a while. It just doesn't really roll off the tongue in the same way, does it? But they do have a great kit. It's got a baby bottle in the back pocket, doesn't it? And it's a good reminder. We often shout out to all the mums who are multitasking, but of course there's a whole heap of dads that are multitasking too. So it's good to see them. There it is, that fabulous kit with the baby bottle in the back there. But it is. It's great to see them all getting out and giving it a crack as well.
Yeah, for sure. I actually started a group called Badass Mums a couple of years ago now, when my son was born, and we have a little Facebook group, Zwift Badass Mums, and I thought BAM sounded a little bit better than MERT, so that's why we got that acronym going.
Yeah, I like that. I think BAM is slightly catchier than MERT, but same sentiment, so it all works.
There we go. Exactly. Looking here at Weatherall, rounding out the Bs, they've just got 100 metres to go. You can see the finish line right there. They just went over the sprint. Just 3 of them there. I think there's a 4th rider who's just dropped off the back a little bit, unless they've got a ghoster. No, there they are. So finishing pretty strong. No sprint, no orange numbers there. It looks like they've emptied the tank earlier on.
And that's not a bad thing. I think it is not only a bit of a learning experience with how much you can empty the tank and then still get to the finish with your full group of riders, but also sometimes those surges are not necessarily particularly helpful. They're pretty lucky, actually, that they don't have these horrific conditions in their pain caves, because this looks pretty nasty, doesn't it, with the rain? This is really typical London, isn't it? Turning this hideous weather on for the riders. Anna, do you reckon that when it's these conditions in game, it makes you irk at all, or does it just really not bother you?
Oh, I don't like it, because I think, man, I don't want to be riding in the rain virtually. Like, I just want it to be beautiful all the time virtually. So I don't like seeing conditions like this. It does remind me, though, seeing these pink kits and the rain, is at the Tour de France many years ago. Lampre, was it, had the pink kit, and they had a team time trial and the whole team crashed, I think.